Hello, welcome to Saints Live. I'm Kenzie Benali.
And I'm Steve Forbes.
And today, Southampton welcome Premier League frontrunners Everton to St Mary's, and we'll be bringing you 45 minutes of build-up to take you right up to kick-off. And I can promise you there will be absolutely no mention of what happened on this day a year ago.
No, there won't be. But what we will be talking about is the build-up to the game, featuring news from both teams. We'll also be looking back at some classic own goals, and we do want you to get your comments in on the socials, whether that's on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter. But joining us for the build-up to the game, we have former Southampton captain Dean Hammond and NBC Sports writer Joe Prince-Wright. How are you doing, gentlemen?
Very well, thank you. Very well. Nice and dry after being out in the rain all morning with my boys, but no, I'm all good, thank you.
Excellent stuff. And Joe,
good here.
Yeah, you're at St Mary's.
It's great to be back as a boyhood Southampton fan. Obviously, I'm working today, but it's wonderful. I haven't been back to St Mary's for a long time, so I feel really privileged to be watching my team and hopefully see a really good game between Saints and high-flying Everton.
Yeah, well, let's get straight into the game, shall we? Because the team news has been announced, so let's get straight into it. This is the side that will take on Everton later today. Just the one change to the team that took on Chelsea last week. So here it is then. In goal, Alex McCarthy. Making up Southampton's back line is Ryan Bertrand, Yannick Vestergaard, Jan Bednarek and Carl Walker-Peters. Looking at the midfield then, we have our captain James Ward-Prowse alongside Oriol Romeu. We knew Theo Walcott wouldn't feature today against his parent club, so Stuart Armstrong comes in to replace him. Nathan Redmond, though, keeps his place in this side. And Danny Ings and Shea Adams, who opened his goal-scoring account for the season last week, of course, make up the attack. On the bench for the Saints, we have Fraser Forster, Jake Vokins, Jack Stevens, Ibrahima Diallo, Nathan Teller, Shane Long and Dan and Lundalu. So we'll come to you both on this one. What do you make of the lineup Ralph has selected today? Joe, we'll start with you.
I think it's, just what we expected really, with Theo having such a bright debut last time out. We knew he wasn't going to play, so having Stewie Armstrong come back in as the natural replacement, and it's the old adage, if it ain't broken, don't fix it, because they've been playing so well defensively. A couple of clean sheets, and then obviously the second half at Chelsea was much improved. So yeah, pretty much what I would expect it to see. And thank you very much. And the team sheet here has just arrived just on time, like you said, so hot off the press. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the front two play today against this Everton defence.
And Dean, I know you're a firm believer in that as well. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So you must be pleased to see the same side with just the obvious change of Theo Walcott today.
Yeah, I agree with Joe. The manager's selection, I think it is right. It's a consistency that I think the players enjoy, the fans will enjoy. The individual players are getting used to playing with each other more and more each week. They're building good relationships. The performance, especially second half against Chelsea, was excellent. On the front foot, played with that high intensity, that work rate and that hunger that we all enjoy watching the Southampton players use and perform. The front two, again, working well together, be growing together. They're so dangerous, create chances and scoring goals. So yeah, the right team, I think. Stuart Armstrong coming in gives us that balance that previously with him on one wing and Redmond on the other. So yeah, it'd be a good game against a really strong Everton team.
Yeah, Dean, you mentioned there Stuart Armstrong coming in after Kenzie revealed that Theo Walcott's ineligible to play against his parent club. Ralph's picked Stuart. What do you think that's going to do to the balance of the side now, Dean?
Well, I think it will change a little bit from last week, because obviously Theo gives you that pace, gives you that a little bit more direct approach. But Stuart Armstrong has been excellent for Southampton. The end of last season, the beginning of this season, he's been really, really good. I've mentioned it before, I like him as a player. He brings that bit of craft, that creativity. He can create something with a clever pass. He takes responsibility on the ball, and he works incredibly hard as well. So having Redmond on the opposite side, I like them two playing together. I would arguably say they're the best two. They're the partnership of them kind of wide areas, number 10s in the squad. Even with Theo coming in, he performed very well last week, but I think he's going to have to earn that spot. I think it's Stuart Armstrong's spot to lose. And the front four are really exciting. There's not many better in the Premier League. I really believe that. just because of the relationship and the understanding they're building. So I don't think it will affect the balance at all. If anything, I think it will improve it. And I hope Stuart Armstrong is fit and strong and ready to come into the team full of confidence.
Joe, let's talk about Shea Adams then. He seems to have really cemented his spot in the side now, and of course he got off the mark scoring last week. Just how important do you think that was for him, and how much confidence will that have given him?
It should give him a huge amount, because I remember the last time I was on with you guys against West Brom, he was so unlucky. All season long he's played really well, and that partnership, like Dean said, is really blossoming with Danny Ings. They complement each other really well. But, you know, goal scorers, they need to score goals. That's the name of the game, and they need that confidence. And I think the fact that he's been getting in the right positions all season long, and even last season when he had a long drought, that's the most important thing, that he didn't get his head down. He was working hard. He kept doing the right things. And yeah, of course, against Chelsea, there's a little bit of luck involved in that goal, but he kept working hard. And yeah, like I said, the combination play between him and Danny really has been one of the bright spots so far this season, and it seems like they're going from strength to strength together, and they really make each other better. So yeah, Shea seems like a confidence player, and at the moment that goal last week should hold him in very good stead going into today.
Yeah, switching our focus from the centre forwards to the centre backs. Yannick Vestergaard put in a shift last week. We know how good he has been defensively, but he got a goal. And Dean, are we now seeing maybe what he can do at the other end of the pitch as well?
Yeah, I think if any centre-half can add that to their quality, it's really important. You'd like to get goals from every area of the pitch within a team, whether that's defenders or midfield players. But especially Vestergaard, he's such a big size as a person, as an individual. If I was marking him from set pieces, it would be very, very difficult, because he's strong, he's aggressive, he's very good in the air. And if you can just work on that timing, the timing of the runs, or the delivery of the ball, which I'm sure they do in training, they will work on it. Every team dedicates time to set pieces to make it important for games. But his goal last week was really, really good, and it's always nice to score a goal. And if you can get, like I said, if you can get the centre halves getting 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 goals a season each, especially important goals like last season, it can really help the team. So no, I like Vestergaard. He's been brilliant since he's come back in defensively. The partnership last week at times was, a little bit disjointed first half, but second half much, much better when they played higher up the pitch. So yeah, they're forming a good partnership, and it's good to watch. And if they can add some goals, it's always a bonus for a manager, and takes a little bit of pressure off the strikers, which, they're born to score goals, they're paid to score goals, but it's always nice if they can have a couple of games where it's not needed. So no, very, very good performance from him, and it's nice for him to see him scoring goals.
Joe, let's move the chat on then to our captain, James Ward-Prowse. He's obviously been playing in a slightly deeper role alongside Oriol. What have you made of his performances so far this season?
I think they've been very good, very mature. Obviously, he's had the England call-up. That's given a lot of confidence. And I was never quite sure about Ward-Prowse's best position, because he moved around a lot, played wide early on in his Saints career, and then a more attacking role. But I feel like he's found a really good position alongside Oriol to get on the ball, see those long passes that he's really good at picking out. And yeah, I actually remember being sat in the stadium in Ralph's first season in charge, when it all, in my mind, seemed to change my opinion of Ward-Prowse, because he rattled into a challenge on the halfway line. The whole stadium went wild, and everyone was looking around at each other like, didn't really know he could do that. So I think he's brought that aggressiveness to his game, and it really has brought out the best in him, because we all know the quality he has from set-piece situations. But when he got on the ball, sometimes you weren't quite sure what you're going to get. But consistency, he's brilliant, really taken on the captaincy role. I saw him down there earlier, meeting with the referees meeting before the game, and he looks like he's playing just with maturity. He's played for so long now in the Saints team. He's been ever present in the squad since obviously we were promoted back to the Premier League. So I think that experience is really key for the rest of the squad. And yeah, hopefully a few more free kick goals to come, because we all know how good he is at that.
Yeah, it's actually 9 years to the day since Prowse made his Saints debut against Crystal Palace in a League Cup tie. Dean, I don't think you played in that game, but what was it like seeing him come through into the first team?
Yeah, it was good. It was always nice to see the younger players come through. I think him and Luke Shaw came through at a very similar time. Very polite when James came over. He was confident, worked incredibly hard when he came and trained with the first team. I liked it because he saw it as an opportunity when he came over. He just wasn't making the numbers up. He wanted to make an impression to the manager, make an impression to us senior players at the time. So a really good play because he was technically good. Very young when he came over. I think he was 16 or 17 when he first came and trained with the first team and got involved. And it was interesting because Nigel always used to encourage me to help him, to speak to him. Obviously, we played in the same position, so that made sense, more of a kind of a mentoring role. One thing I didn't quite realise that he was actually going to take my place. Be the reason I probably left the club. But I don't mind that. He's an excellent player, really, really good, and got a lot of time for James because he's blossomed into a fantastic player. Was always going to be a candidate for captain in the football club because he knows the club. He leads by example, which you need as an attribute as a captain. And he's gone from strength to strength. And like Joe just said, I always visualised him being a centre midfield player because he does have that quality and he can tackle. He's more aggressive now, and he was never shy of a tackle when he came and trained with the first team. So, no, good luck to him. Brilliant player, and long may be the captain of the club for a long time.
Yeah, he really is a true saint, James, isn't he? Well, coming back to the modern day then, Saints have got a tricky run of fixtures, obviously facing Everton today and then Aston Villa next week. They were sitting first and second before this weekend's fixtures. We can see the top of the Premier League table there. Aston Villa have dropped into third now. What do they need to do then? A question for both of you. In these games, what would you like to see from them aside from the obvious 6 points in a dream world? Joe, we'll come to you first.
I think Dean picked up on their consistency, really. We've got a kind of consistent team now. Defensively, we got better, so I'd like to see more clean sheets because I think going forward, we have the players who are going to score a lot of goals. We don't really have to worry about that too much. I think getting that solid base, consistent players out there, be lucky with injuries. Obviously, I would take sort of 2 draws, I think, from today and the Aston Villa game. But 4 points would be excellent. 6 points would be amazing, obviously. And I'd love to see a bit of Diallo and other players coming in as well because we'd love to just have more options, I think, in the squad moving forward because it's a long old season. The manager said about it earlier on. Before this game, we're going to have to rotate the team around and it's going to be very interesting to see who comes in and out of the team through the next few weeks. But we can have a settled team, get 4 points. I think that would be wonderful to see.
Dean, what about you? What are you hoping to see from the Saints over the coming weeks?
I agree with Joe. I think it's that consistency again. I think if you can keep the same team playing as regular as possible, especially for the next 2 games, it's important that we've got a good squad so players can get introduced, the new signings. That would be good if they can get some time. But maybe I would think maybe 4 points if I'm honest. I think Aston Villa have had an excellent start to the season, but are they in a little bit of a false position? I think they're on the same sort of level, if even below what Southampton are as a Premier League team. I think Southampton are more established, have got better players. I just think Aston Villa have started the season well. They found a formula from them in Grealish and Bartley that are playing exciting football, but they can be got at, and we have very, very good attacking players. The game today against Everton is going to be tough. But yeah, consistent team of playing the brand of football like we did second half against Chelsea. That was just fantastic. You know, taking the game to a top 4 team at their stadium, putting them on the back foot, creating chances was just brilliant to see. So maybe what I could look for, could we get that for 90 minutes? Could we get that first half and second half against the bigger so-called teams? I think that would be the next step, and that would be progress and development for the current team.
Well, it seems that the tough run of fixtures doesn't seem to be a concern for the fans because they're very optimistic. Lots of comments coming in with some score predictions for today. This comment is from YouTube. This person's going for a 1-0 win. It's going to be a repeat of Man City last season. Great defence and a Shea goal. Paul's got in touch on Facebook. Hello to you. He says, a game we really could win, especially building off the lads' improved form in recent matches. Keep up the hard work and the result is ours. Sam is joining us on YouTube all the way from Devon. Hello to you. And Lou's joining us from even further afield in Australia. Wow, it must be really late where you are. We've got another comment here from someone supporting in South Africa. Wow, thanks for your company. And a final one for now then from Laura. Hello, she's tuning in from Eastleigh. She's going for a 3-1 win to the Saints today. And she says, come on, Southampton.
So people are predicting goals then?
They are indeed.
Well, we all love a good goal montage, don't we? But normally we see them going in at the right end. But in the last 7 times Everton have visited St Mary's, they've scored 4 own goals. So we've put them together. I'm going to take a look at them now.
Lambert's pulled out to the left, Gallagher in the penalty area, Lambert to the near post, and the own goal has put Southampton in the lead. Within the first 56 seconds of the game, the centre-half has nodded it past Tim Howard in the Everton net. Thinks about going on the outside of him, does go on the outside, good cross towards the middle of the penalty area, and it's another own goal! This time it's Seamus Coleman, and Saints have a 2-0 lead against Everton just past the half-hour mark. Can Saints take advantage? Whipped in by Ward-Prowse, header down, and Southampton have the lead. 37 minutes gone in the first half. Clean header, 6 yards out, and Saints are back in the goals at St Mary's. Ward-Prowse finds the pass they need, and Ings finds it to Redmond. Redmond trying to go through on goal, and the back pass goes in. I think that's an own goal from Lucas Digne. He's rushed into the back of Redmond to try and tackle him as Redmond's going through on goal. And as Digne's made the tackle and connected, I think he shinned it at pace past his own goalkeeper. Saints get a bit of fortune. They lead 2-0 against Everton. 64 minutes gone. That may well be a Lucas Digne own goal.
The only 2 goals we saw that game. Could those have been avoided?
Well, yes, probably. I think the first goal came so early in the game, 56 seconds, I think it was. It was a good cross into a good area, and I think the defender is just concentrating on. I'm not sure who he's marking at the time, but he's concentrating on the player, and then just reacts really late to the ball. Tries to get his head on the ball because it's such a good area, and just goes into his own goal. So an excellent start by Southampton, but. Could they be avoided? I think the consistency, or the same thing about both goals, the quality of the cross and the area the ball's put into, it's hard for the defenders to defend. They have to react under pressure, have to react very quickly. Seamus Coleman sees it late. I think John Stones maybe ducks out of a header or doesn't want to head it. I think we've seen that in the past from John Stones. He's a ball-playing centre-half, doesn't probably want to head it as much as he should. So yeah, it's just late reaction from the defenders, and own goals are always unfortunate, but always nice to see when you're playing against a certain team. So yeah, amusing from this end, but yeah, they could have potentially been avoided, yes.
Now, the other 2 we saw were from Romelu Lukaku and Lucas Digne. Joe, tell us about the Digne goal, because it doesn't actually look like Redmond knew how it went in.
Oh, it's one of those ones I had to watch back a few times to sort of disbelief. It's so unlucky, but I think what he's done there, Dean could probably tell you better, but I think Dean has kind of gambled to try and play it against Redmond, and it hasn't quite worked out. He's obviously missed the deflection, and it's just gone straight into his own goal. So, heck of a finish from that far out for an own goal. You don't see many of those, but Everton don't seem to like to come to St Mary's. They've had kind of a poor record here. And yeah, as the Saints players come out to warm up in front of me here, sun's out, sun's shining. Let's see if Lady Luck is shining on Saints once again today.
Oh, that sounds absolutely glorious, doesn't it? Well, we have seen a few own goals at St Mary's over the years, so let's take a look at some of the best.
Cross comes in. Right channel, Antonio to pick it up. Antonio through, good defending. Oh, a disastrous own goal! And how ironic for MK Dons that surely one of their own men has sent Saints to Wembley.
Low ball across the box, the back heel, and the own goal from Gareth Barry. Well, he couldn't have placed it any better if he wanted to. But Lambert's ball across the penalty area, and Barry has calmly slotted it past his own goalkeeper. Shoots it over the edge of the box, and then a ridiculous own goal. Santiago Virginie has just smashed it into his own net from 12 yards out. David Merrington and me are looking at each other, thinking, did that really happen? Surely, Keller, great save, Benali! Oh no, it's gone over the line. Southampton are 4-0 up. Will Keller be given the goal? Brincut dribbled it over his own line after the save from Benali.
Yeah, what a bunch of own goals they were, yeah. We saw one there from the Johnston's Paint Trophy area final against MK Dons, which helped Saints set up a trip to Wembley. Dean, you were actually on the pitch that day, and I know you just said it was amusing to see own goals go in, but what were your emotions when that actually happened?
I think at the time there was a lot of relief. I know we were ahead in the game, and it was later on in the game, and I think MK Dons had actually come into the game and they were on top. We were definitely ahead on aggregate. But there was a lot of tension around. We felt the pressure potentially from the expectation from the home fans at the time, because we knew we were so close to Wembley. But it was nice to see that goal go in, I must admit. And I think it was a breakthrough from Michael Antonio. He's breaking through from that pace, and the defender actually made a very good decision to try and clear it. Unfortunately, his teammate hit him straight in the chest and went in the goal. So, no, big relief. I remember the noise of that evening. I remember the celebrations. I remember the excitement when the final whistle went that we were actually going to go to Wembley. It was a full house that night. I think at the time in my Southampton career, it was the best atmosphere I'd seen at this stadium at that point. It was a full house. There was some expectation but excitement around the place that we were close to going to Wembley. The club felt as though it was on the right path back to moving upwards and onwards since all the issues before. So no, the emotions were relief and then happiness when I got back to the dressing room. And felt sorry for the player at the time or after the game, but at the time, probably not. So always nice.
You're too nice, Dean. Only you would say felt sorry for them. Joe, we'll talk to you next about the Gareth Barry goal we saw in that montage. That was in a 3-1 win over Man City. That was actually Pochettino's first win as manager as well. If you can cast your mind back, what do you remember from that game?
I remember just the energy levels were incredible. I think I was watching it in the first half and being like, surely we can't keep playing like this the whole game, because it was just absolutely incredible, the workload. Obviously, it was Man City, which is another level for Saints. It was fairly new in our Premier League journey, being back there. So it was, it's pretty crazy, to be honest, to see them playing that well against Man City. And the atmosphere is pretty crazy here right now, as you can hear. The DJ's pumping the music.
Sounds fantastic.
Everyone's fired up for this one.
Sounds like you're having a rave for one in the stands there, Joe. I'm
about to go off and start dancing.
Please do. Everyone on Saints Live would love that.
We also looked at one of your goals last week, Dean, but you'd have probably been pretty chuffed to have scored this one by Santiago Virginie, which helped set up Saints' 8-0 win over Sunderland. Just tell us what happened here.
Well, to start with, it's a great finish. I mean, how he's managed to do that, I don't know. He's obviously trying to clear the ball. I've looked at it a few times and tried to figure out how he's done it. I think he's tried to go with the outside of his foot. So right foot, try to clear the outside of his right foot to try and curl it away from goal. Unfortunately, he's hit it with the inside of his foot and it's gone right into the top corner. So I think, Ricky Lambert would have been proud of that finish. The keeper just watched it go in right into the top corner. Again, it's amusing if you're playing against the team. But yeah, I think he would have been as much shock as everyone else, the fans, his teammates, the opposition, the Southampton players. So, yeah, an amusing goal, but I don't think he could ever do that again if he tried. He's just tried to hit it as hard as he can. It looks like he's tried to clear the stadium, completely misjudged it, mistimed it, and it's just a brilliant finish. It would have been even better if he'd ran off celebrating, because he needed celebrating that goal, but he can't do that because I think he would have been pulled off by his manager. But no, great finish.
Oh, it is a bit painful to watch, isn't it? Joe, there actually was 2 other own goals in that game. What did you make of the Liam Bridcut own goal and actually just in general that crazy match?
Yeah, that was unfortunate as well. That was one of those own goals where when you're getting hammered and your luck is against you, that goes in. So I was actually on the road in my role with NBC. I remember this. It's in a hotel somewhere up in the north of England, and I was kind of just shouting at the end, like, I cannot believe this is happening, like 8-0. It was unbelievable to just see the updates coming in. I guess that was really a great time in the journey under Ronald Koeman, and I never thought I'd ever see Saints win a game 8-0, let alone in the Premier League. So good memories, but not so much for Liam Bridcut.
Now, Kenzie, this one's for you, and I hate to bring the family Benali name into disrepute.
I know what's coming here.
But your dad did score quite a few own goals in his time.
He did.
Do you want to talk us through this one?
Oh, go on then. Let's see what's happened. Well, it's always a concern, isn't it, when you've scored more own goals than goals in the correct net. But, I mean, you've got to give it to him. It's a great finish. He's given it everything there.
Yeah, it's a bullet.
But no, obviously, my heart goes out to anyone that scored an own goal. And naturally, it kind of breaks my heart a little bit to see it happen to my dad. But I think we all know he'd give anything for the Saints shirt. So, bless him. I think he was pretty distraught at that one. Dean, you're not alone, because I think, as Dad did, you might have scored some own goals, am I right, in your time? Sorry to bring it up, I've got to share the burden here. What is the feeling like afterwards? Because it must be pretty horrific.
Well, we'll take the heat off Franny here. So,
I quickly wanted to move that on, Dean.
We'll quickly move on. But I've scored a couple of own goals, I must admit, and they're not nice. But one goal I must remember when I was actually playing for Brighton in the Championship. Lucky enough, we were 4-0 up at the time. But very much like Franny's goal there, it was a diving header, but very different to Franny. Franny was under pressure there and he needed to defend it. I wasn't under pressure. There was no one around me. I thought there was someone with me. I attacked the ball in my own box, diving header into the top corner, and just laid on the floor thinking, oh, I want the ground to swallow me up here. So it was either laugh or cry. I think if I'm honest, I think I probably had a little giggle to myself, but out of anxiety and out of fear, thinking, what have I just done here? But luckily enough, we were 4-0 up at the time. We ended up winning the game 6-1. But no, it's never nice, and it's I remember getting a lot of stick off family, friends, teammates after the game. And I remember Gus Poyet in the dressing room, just looking at me and just shaking his head and not needing to say the word. He was laughing, but shaking his head. So yeah, good memories. I can laugh about it now, but at the time it was I was a little bit sensitive.
Yeah, at least you're smiling about it. That's the main thing. Yeah. And as you say, at least you won the game, so it wasn't too bad. Right, let's head back to socials now then and take a look at what's being said by the fans at home. Still plenty of positive comments coming in from you guys. Elaine said she's going to be watching with Ingsy's dad and family. Wow, that's brilliant. Thanks for getting in touch. Mark Littlewood on YouTube said, given Theo can't play, that is our best 11. So he's impressed with the way we're taking on Everton today. Carl Bridge, good afternoon. He's on YouTube as well. He says Oriel will get booked. That is the only thing we can be sure of. Okay, Carl, well, there we go. Oriel does love a yellow, doesn't he? Charles has sent us a message. He's saying he's watching from Venezuela. Very exotic. And Duke has sent us a comment as well. He's saying 3-2 in favour of the Saints, and he's watching from Kenya. Thanks for joining us.
Amazing stuff, right? But it's time to focus on the game at hand. Now, Everton are sitting at the top of the table this early on in the season. Joe, are we allowed to call them a surprise package, or given the players that they've signed, should they actually be doing this well?
I've got to be careful what I say here because I'm sat quite close to the Everton bench. But no, I don't think they're really a surprise package. I think given the money they spent, the quality of players they've brought in, the manager they have, I think everyone was kind of quietly optimistic in the Everton camp before the season started. But they've definitely, for me, surprised me how well they've defended and how well the midfielders gelled. You know, with Decore and Allen coming in, had that understanding right away about, the dovetailing aspect of defending in midfield, but also starting attacks. And Obviously, Hammond is fit, which is a big boost for them today. And a player of his quality, I mean, he's going to create goals, score goals, and just give everyone around him a lift. So I think for Everton, they got quality players, spent a lot of money, and now it's almost a case of, okay, after this good start to the season, can they back it up? But I was keen to ask Dean, actually, with the two midfielders for Everton, how impressed he's been with the way they played together in central midfield.
I think I was gonna say them two have been excellent, especially Decore. I've watched him. I liked him as a Watford player, and I'm surprised that a few more clubs didn't come in for him. Actually, he's a powerhouse. He reminds me a lot of Kante when I played with him at Leicester. He gets around the pitch. He kind of does the role or the job of two players. So even when you're playing in there with potentially a two, it feels like a three because he covers so much ground. He can attack, he can defend, and he's probably that old style box-to-box midfielder that you don't really see these days, but he can do both roles. So an excellent signing by Everton, and I think a really good price as well that they got him from Watford. And obviously the manager's an excellent manager, so you would have seen that. But yeah, they've got a good combination, and it'll be interesting to see how James and Ramiro come up against them two today. It'll be a good test for them because the midfield battle will be pretty intense. All good footballers, but all like to win the ball back as well. So no, two excellent signing by Everton, I must admit.
Yeah, it's going to be undoubtedly a tough fixture for the Saints today. Dean, we know Everton are sitting top of the Premier League table, which not many people probably would have predicted at the beginning of the season. What have you made of their start to this campaign?
Well, they've had an excellent start, and it probably has surprised a few people. It surprised myself. I thought this season they would do much, much better with the manager they have and the resources they have at the football club to financially back them up in the transfer market. They've done that, and they've recruited very well. Probably, I must admit, it's probably the first time in a long time that Everton have recruited well. They've always spent a decent amount of money, but I think they've brought some really good players in, and I think that's down to the manager having more responsibility and more say in that. I think he's not just a coach, he's managing the club, which I think it needed. They're much more organised, they're fitter and they're stronger. They're more disciplined without the ball. So they've always been an attacking threat, Everton, always like to attack, to play attractive football and score goals, but they're doing the bit without the ball now. They're getting into a good shape. They look like they understand how the manager wants them to play. We just mentioned it, I like the midfield two or the midfield three that they play. And obviously you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front, who I played with at Sheffield United. Been a bit of a surprise package, but everything at the moment he touches seems to go in, and I think him working with Duncan Ferguson at the football club has really helped him because Duncan Ferguson was fantastic attacking the ball in the box. You know, wasn't the best footballer in the world, but you put it in the box with his head or his volley, he always got a good connection and scored good goals. So, no, they're a good team and they've got a good squad as well. So, I don't think they'll be title contenders, if I'm honest, but I think they'll push for the top four. So, no, a good team this season.
Yeah, another one for you, Dean. We spoke briefly last week about Jordan Pickford. He seems to be in the headlines loads recently, probably for the wrong reasons. Is he a player that can be got at from a Saints perspective?
I think he's a player that you could, he would be mentioned. He would be mentioned in preparation. He would be mentioned in the team talk. I think if I was the manager, I'd be encouraging the fullbacks and the wider players to put the ball into the box, get crosses into the box, make him make a decision whether he's going to come for it, whether he's going to punch it, whether he's going to catch it, get some early shots on, see what his reactions are like, because he will be nervous. I don't care. You know, he looks like he's a strong character. He looks like he's very resilient. He's experienced now. He's England's number one, but his confidence has been hit because he's made some individual errors. And as a goalkeeper, when you make errors, there's no one there to really help you out. So it will be playing on his mind. He'll be thinking, I need a big performance. I need a big performance. And when you think like that and you're not playing naturally and you're not playing from your instincts, it does affect you. So I would put early crosses in the box. If James Ward-Prowse gets a chance from a free kick to shoot, even if it was further out, I would test Pickford. If I was Danny Ings or Shea Adams, I'd be shooting from distance because it will be weighing on his mind. But he's a good goalkeeper and he does have some good performances. He's just got an error in him, and hopefully he'll have a couple more today.
Joe, do you think that this will be a similar match to the Chelsea game last week, or are you expecting Everton to sit back a little bit more?
I think it'll be similar. I think they'll have a threat on the counter. Obviously, with Richarlison being out, that kind of diminishes their threat slightly on the break. But I think we'll have to be careful with that, just as we saw with Timo Werner and how easily he got in behind Saints' defence in the first half. I think we'll have to be wary of James threading those balls in behind. For Calvert-Lewin, like Dean said, he's in wonderful form, and I'm watching the team warm up here, and Calvert-Lewin is sticking him in the bottom corner at will. So, yeah, he's on red-hot form at the moment. So I think Everton, the great thing about them is that they have a lot of balance to the team. They're not just going to counter-attack. They can sit back like they did against Liverpool for long periods and defend and then build from the back. So they don't, if plan A isn't working for them, they've got a plan B or a plan C now, and that's down to probably having, Ancelotti, wonderful manager, work with so many great players and the quality of players they have. So slightly different test to Chelsea, but I think with Everton having, a lot of points on the board already, they'll be very confident. And yeah, as I said, they're going through the warm-up drills here. And something interesting was Yerry Mina and Michael Keane working on a lot of aerial challenges. So I think they might fancy, like Dean said, a lot of balls to come into the box and Shea Adams to be roughing them up a little bit. So they're working on a lot of headers and clearances right now. So it'll be interesting to see how Everton play, but I expect them to be a real threat on the counter-attack.
Yeah, it's certainly not going to be easy, is it? But we're almost at kick-off. We are going to come to you both for a score prediction in just a moment. But before we do that, let's head to socials one more time to have a look at what the fans are thinking for today's game. Kenny's going for a 3-1 win to the Saints. So as Steve said earlier, the fans are predicting goals today. He thinks Ings, Adams and Prowse will score. Scott's also got in touch. Hello to you. He says Saints will win 2-1. Ings to score the first goal. Donna, good afternoon. She's also going for a 3-1 Saints win. Ings to score the first. Ahmed on Facebook is going for lots of goals. He thinks it will be 4-3 to Southampton today. Craig Ince has said he's watching from New Milton. Hello. And he's also predicted a 3-1. That seems to be quite a popular scoreline. And Stephen Jones has said he's watching from a cold, dark Vancouver Island. Come on, you Saints. Absolutely love hearing all these exotic places around the world where you're watching from. So thank you very much for your company. But we are going to come to you now, Dean and Joe, to get your score predictions. Dean, we'll start with you. It is going to be difficult today, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, you're right, Kenzie. I think it's going to be a tough test. I think it'll probably be one of the most difficult games of the season so far. Everton are on form. They're a difficult team to play against. But I'm always going to back Southampton. I'm always going to think we're going to see score goals because of the front four. I love the way they play. So I'm going to go 2-1 Southampton. I think there will be goals, not like last week. Well, I ate my words last week and it was 3-3, but we'll go goals. I think it'll be 2-1.
Okay, Joe. So Dean's predicting goals, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to go for a 3-1, which was seen to be the favourite scoreline when Dean and Saints were ripping it up in League One and the Championship. I'm going to go with 2-2. I'd be happy with that as a Southampton fan. I think right now Everton are in really good form. I think it'll be an open, entertaining game. But I do worry about both teams defensively a little bit, and I think that's where they can improve. So plenty of goals, but I'm going to sit on the fence and go for 2-2.
Great stuff. Well, thank you for joining us, gentlemen. It's just under 20 minutes until kick-off at St Mary's as Southampton take on top of the table Everton. Do join us after the game right here for the full match analysis on the final whistle. So do enjoy the game and we'll see you soon.